Today I'm going to show you how to make a Kimekomi tucked ornament. No sewing involved. The first thing you're going to do is go to the description box down below, and the link to the pattern pieces that I've made are there. You're going to cut them out right along the outer edges where you see the dashed lines, and you're going to make this ornament using a foam ball, some fabric, some trim, and some embellishments if you feel like it. So here are my pattern pieces cut out. The first thing we're going to do is get the shiny ring template. And that's it right there. Shiny essentially just means Saturn. It's a Saturn ring that goes around the foam ball to make this ornament. You are going to need a piece of cardboard, poster board, something along that line. And you're going to paste this somehow, whatever paste or glue you have, onto a piece of this cardboard. I'm just using a used medium flat rate box from USPS that I had laying around and glued it right on top there. And underneath I have another piece of cardboard because when I cut this inner circle out in a second, I don't want to go through to the table. So you can use a number of things. An X-Acto knife is definitely ideal for something like this, but if you don't have that, I'm showing you how to use some everyday household items like a sharp kitchen knife, a box cutter, package opener, anything like that. And you're just going to slice this inner circle around the dashed line so that you can poke that middle piece out. Go ahead and flip it over to make sure that you are able to cut all the way through, and then pop that middle circle out. And after you've done that, you're going to go ahead and cut that square out on that cardboard to make your template for your foam ball measuring. So next, here is something that I'm trying to show you how to use using everyday items. These are the ends of an ink tube from a pen that I just had laying around. You just screw the bottom of the pen off, pull it out, and you only need a small piece. An inch or less will be just fine, and just cut that out right there, and you need 2 of them. If you don't have that, you can also use small coffee straws. They're very small and skinny, so that'll work just the same. And on both the left side and the right side of your shiny ring template, you're going to match those straws or those tubes up on the back right along those lines. And you're going to use a stapler or some tape or whatever you have handy around your house, and go ahead and staple or tape them in place. The stapler will go right through it, no problem. The next thing you can use is a very sharp knife. A serrated edge would probably work better, especially if your knife is not very sharp. But you're just going to, again, go over your guide marks to make about 1/4 of an inch or a little bit deeper groove all the way around. This is my absolute favorite tool to use. I don't quite have the right head. It's a wood burning tool I got on Amazon for about $11 or $12. In the tutorial, I'll send you a link for that, so that way if you want to get one, if you're making these in bulk, you can do that. It goes through it just like butter. It makes the grooves a little deeper, a little wider than I would prefer, but I don't have the right head attachment on it right now, and for this purpose, it still works just fine. So this is what it looks like after you've made all your grooves. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to make 6 fabric pieces out of your Kimekomi pattern piece that's in the description box. If you're going to use the same fabric multiple times, just stack that fabric on top of each other. Trace the pattern piece on the top one and just cut it all out at once. If you're using several different fabrics or you have something specific you want to show on the fabric, you can cut it out one at a time if you need to. Right here, I'm just showing you how I cut out 2 at a time, and then we're going to begin tucking for the first time. Make sure to press your fabric with an iron if it has any wrinkles, because you definitely don't want those showing on your ornament.
When you're all done, this is what your
now
shiny
get one of your fabric pieces and
like.
your foam ball with the grooves.
Nothing special,
and
but it takes a
with the top
lot of
fabric
time
piece,
away from
you're going to
measuring
place it at the
yourself
top
around
center,
this foam ball,
and you're just going to
accurate,
begin
in my
on
opinion.
both sides, just
so you're going to get your foam ball
into
you
the
see
grooves
that
a little
line
bit.
right there.
Once again, I'm going to show you how to do this with everyday household items, so you don't have to go out and buy a specific sewing tucking tool unless you're doing this in bulk and you want to.
And push it right
this
through
is just
the middle.
A plain dull butter knife.
You can line it up with
Another
that
thing you
equator
can
line
use
if you want, or just
is
find
the back
middle
of a seam
spot.
ripper. I really
And
like
then
using
you're going to
these
get
because I feel like it goes into the grooves
pins.
much better.
The sewing pins need
so this
to
is
have
what I
some
primarily
kind of
use
top,
when I do tucking.
A ball,
again, you're going to start at the top
whatever
center.
You have
go
on
ahead
hand
and push it in.
fine,
If you've got nails, that's pretty helpful because you can press it in the grooves if you need to.
It so that it
and then you just
stays
work
in
it
place and doesn't
however you can. With
the pins are
the
there
back
to
of your
hold your
seam
foam
ripper
ball
so
in
that
place
the blade
so that you can
isn't
move that
face
Saturn
down onto that
ring
fabric.
right around it.
So I'm showing you the easier ways to do that. Another thing that you can do that I'll show you in a few minutes is get flat head sewing
both of your
pins.
pen needles,
little short ones. They're very, very cheap.
Shawnee
Again, I get mine on Amazon. I will give you the link to that in my tutorial so that if you want to purchase them,
just like so,
you can do that. But what you do is anytime you have a problem area where you're tucking this fabric into the grooves and it's just not wanting to stay down,
and the top
you
center
can just
of your
insert
foam ball,
one of those
make a
flat-headed tubes
and do the
right
same
into that
thing
problem
on the
area
back
like
of
I'm
your
showing
foam
you
ball.
here.
You're going to use these in a few minutes.
You
now you're going
to
find the 6
press
little
it down
lines on your Shawnee
right
ring
over the fabric into the foam ball.
Part.
It is not going to show
and
on
go
your
ahead and make a line
product.
on your foam ball that matches
and
up to
once
each
you get
of those
to the
6 lines. It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
It can be a little painful on your fingers, so I just like to use
here
the side of my seam ripper.
After you've got those guide
you can use as many pins as you want. The only thing you want to make sure that you don't pin is
and you're going to rotate your foam ball
center or the
to
very
match up with
bottom
those
center
that you just made on the front and back of your foam ball.
Because then that's going to prevent you from being able to
right where the pen tube is, or your coffee straw.
Now you're going to skip
and put
one piece
your needle
of
pin
your foam ball
right through the tube where the
little
dot is,
area,
and then match it up again on the
second
other side
one
as
next
well
to it.
With the
You're
other
going to follow
pin
the
dot.
same process.
Go ahead and put your needle
all
in,
the way around,
and that's
skipping
going to
and going
hold
every
this
other
foam ball
one,
in
so that way
place
you
while
can get
draw
your fabric well into
around
the
those
grooves
guide marks here in a second,
without manipulating it too much until you're ready to.
Now you're going to line your
Just
Shawnee
tuck it
ring
right into the
template
grooves,
up with
neat and
each
dirty,
of those little guide marks that you made a minute ago,
and use little pins.
Just line it
where
up
you're
so
having
it's
trouble with that
flush right there
fabric
with the
staying
top,
tucked in.
and then on the bottom,
if you used
you'll
an
see the
X-Acto
other guide
knife,
mark to make
something
sure
very,
that you're
very
connecting these
thin
lines
and
you're going to
sharp,
make
to make much smaller grooves in
starting
your foam.
at the top
it's
one,
probably
make a
going
line
to be
all the
easier
way
to
around
get
your
your
foam
fabric
ball
on the side to
against
stay a
your
little bit better
template
without
so
using
that
too
you
many
match
pins.
the bottom
and it really
and the
doesn't
top
matter how many
guide
you use,
marks.
but you know, if you're just trying to
Once
save on
you've done
materials
that, you're going
or what
to
have
rotate
you, I just find this to
your
be
foam
an
ball
easier way
just
to
a little
show
bit
you
until
how to
you
do
find
it.
the next guide mark, and you're going to do the same thing. If they aren't perfectly drawn, it is completely okay. This is just a guide mark. Nothing like this is going to be shown in your finished ornament product. Now that you've almost made your 6 pieces into this foam ball, If you've messed up at any point or didn't draw your line dark enough like you like it, you can move that Shawnee ring template back to where your line was and just go over it
bring it
again
down
like
to the
I'm going to
bottom,
do
and
here
then
in
I
a
stick a
second.
pin at the bottom and top, not quite in the center, but just a little bit down to where I'm working with. So this way it stays more in place, and I didn't show you that in the first couple of steps because not everybody's going to have all of these items. And again, I like to try to show you how to do things with items you already have.
This is what it should look like.
You're
going to have 6 little sides.
So then you're just going to continue the process
just like this.
Of tucking.
The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make indentions and grooves right
like you have been doing. You're going to begin
marks.
doing the foam ball.
You can use a number
where you
of
have
things.
not
I'm
added
showing
fabric
you again
yet.
household items
and you're
that
just going to follow the same exact process until you're completely finished tucking
the best
your
thing to use is an
X-Acto knife. If you
make
have
sure
one of
to
those
try
on
not
hand,
to leave too much
that would be
fabric
really
hanging
helpful,
out of the
but you can use
grooves
a
because
box
then that
cutter
can
like I am
affect how it
here.
looks at the end.
Just
But
slide
if you have
it.
a little
If it's
bit,
not too sharp,
fine.
just go in and out in that kind of motion. And just make your groove about 1/4 of an inch deep on these foam balls. And really, it doesn't matter how deep you go, you just have to make sure you go at least 1/4 of an inch. Once you're done tucking in all of your sides, this is what your ornament should look like. Just a little fabric you can see is hanging out of the grooves, but not much. Stuff that we're going to easily cover in the next step with our trim. So for your trim, you can use any kind of ribbon or cord. This is rickrack. I love rickrack. This is sequin. This is just regular stretch cord trim and some 1/4 inch ribbon, and you can get all of those at Hobby Lobby or other places for less than $1 for a few yards normally. First thing you're going to do is put a little bit of hot glue on the top center of your ornament, and then place the end of your ribbon or trim piece right on top. And what you're going to do is follow the grooves as a guideline to wrap this ribbon all the way around your ornament, following with glue inside of your grooves as you go. Once you get to the bottom, you're going to continue following the same groove line. Once you get back to the top, you're going to place a little bit of glue over that very top piece, hold it with your finger, and you're going to rotate it to the next groove line like here. Keep following that ribbon or rickrack or trim, whatever you're using, all the way back down and back to the top. You may have noticed that I have a couple of pins, 2 pins in the sides of my ornament. That's only because if I put it down or if I want to pick it up, it'll stay put instead of rolling off. Now, once you get back to the top, you're going to put little glue on the top and hold it with your finger, rotate it over to the last groove line that you have to fill. Once you get it back to the top for the last time, you're going to overlap that middle center piece that you've been overlapping, and then go ahead and trim your ribbon. And you'll be done adding your ribbon or rickrack to the actual ornament. Now these, you can do absolutely anything you want to. Sometimes you can find beads or crystals or, you know, little charms and stuff like that, and you can attach them using those flathead pen needles that you've seen me use here to tuck that fabric into place when it's not going where I want it to go. So the things that you can do here is unlimited. The things that you can put on the top, you can do the same thing. You can use an eye hook, a short eye hook, and put it into the top with some glue,
and just hang it on some ribbon just like that if you want to. Really, you can choose what you want to do. So what I'm going to show you now is how to add a top ribbon piece. It's a bow. You don't have to have experience. It's fairly easy, but I'm going to show you two ways. The first way is to use cardboard. Get whatever width you want your bow to be and cut your cardboard just like that. And then with the first end of your ribbon or whatever you're using to make this bow, overlap the center of it and then just wrap it right around a few times. This one is approximately 3.5 inches wide. So once you're getting done, go ahead and hold that middle piece and then get one of your flat-headed needles and poke it through the first half of your ribbon. This is just to hold it in place so it doesn't go everywhere once you take it off of that cardboard. And my ribbon is actually pretty tricky to push through, so I'm doing it carefully. Once you've done that, go ahead and wiggle that ribbon or whatever you're using right off of your cardboard. Trim it so that the ribbon over there is at the side and has some length to it. And then go ahead and put your needle through the bottom layers of that ribbon. Just push it all the way through on that needle till it's at the top. The next thing you're going to do is get your ornament, and you're going to put this right in the top center of your ornament. Sometimes it can be tricky to push those pins through all that fabric and ribbon, so get a piece of cardboard, fold it in half, and just push it down if you don't have something like a thimble. Once you have it pushed down, you're just going to grab your very inside loop and just adjust them. You didn't glue this, so that way you could move this around however you wanted to, and you're just going to pull them apart until you get your bow looking how you want it to look. So I'm actually going to do 2 layers of ribbon here. So I got a skinnier piece of organza ribbon. I think it's about 1/4 of an inch. The last one was 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to wrap it around my fingers a few times and add the pin just like I did before. But before I add that pin, I actually made my last loop a little bit longer than the rest of my loops, so that way it can be used to hang the stocking. So just like before, you're going to press that pin right in the middle and press it into your ornament after you add a little bit of glue to keep it all in place, because again, that's where you're going to be hanging your ornament from. And then you just adjust the loops however you want it to look. Clip your ribbon. I kind of like to do it at an angle, and it leaves a little bit of a decorative piece, and just adjust it however you want to, and that last big loop is what's hanging it in place. Super cute, such a great gift to give, something handmade and sweet.